our homie, Patrick Mahomey.
Mahomes scrambling left, holds it, fires it right, caught, 10, 5, touchdown! And he's going to sprint for the far pylon, touchdown!
Freaking laser beams.
Patrick Mahomes, the defending NFL MVP, took his team to the AFC Championship last year, and but for the NFL's inherently unfair overtime rules in the postseason, may have gone to the Super Bowl. Will he get to the Super Bowl this year? We've got our picks. And here's what's scary. We just both realized, because in this last break, I saw your picks, you saw my picks, and we came to the conclusion we spend way too much time together. This is not good.
We flushed out the NFL, and we have a lot of the same thoughts. With full disclosure here, our AFC playoff picks, we have 5 of the same teams. We have 1 that differs.
Right, and all 4 of the same division winners. We have them seeded a little bit differently. We both have the Patriots as the 1 seed, the Chiefs as the 2 seed, making them the champions of the AFC East and West, respectively. I've got the Jaguars as the 3rd seed, as the AFC South champions, the Steelers as the 4th seed, as the AFC North champions. Simms has the Jaguars 4th and the Steelers 3rd. So other than that, it's exactly the same. I got the Browns at 5, the Jets at 6. Simms has the Ravens at 5, the Browns at 6. So, other than the Ravens and Jets, we agree on everything. It's amazing.
It is amazing. And, first off, I know you and I both like, I couldn't do the Jets as much as I like the Jets or the Buffalo Bills. I know we talked about them a lot as being like a fringe playoff team, which I think the AFC is going to be extremely jumbled at the bottom there. Where like I have the team, like I envision the Browns being like a 9-7 and maybe tied with two or three other teams at 9-7, but they win the tiebreaker, like almost that type of scenario. But I mean, no Bills for us. I know we talked highly of them and we have high hopes of them. No Colts, huh? No Texans for you either.
Well, look, Texans, Texans were 12-4, Chargers were 12-4. We both left them off.
We both left them off. So, the Colts, Texans, and Chargers are the 3 that I'm most intrigued to just know. I want to know why you didn't choose them ultimately.
Well, with the Texans, I really do feel like last year was kind of an aberration. They started slowly. They caught fire. I just don't think they're going to be able to duplicate it this year, and I think there is disarray in that organization without a general manager. And think of how confused all of us on the outside were by the trades that happened this weekend. In the organization, in the locker room, that's a lot to digest quickly. And I don't know that you recover from that quickly and go to New Orleans and beat the Saints, and maybe it sets the tone that
Plus,
you don't recover from quickly.
Clowney, Lamar
Miller's out for the year.
Kareem Jackson's gone.
They've added some guys, but they've lost some guys, and it's a lot of turnover for a division champion. The Chargers, Phillip Rivers said it himself, that they could have been 6-10 or 16-0 last year. So many close games for the Chargers. And I just think this year it's going to be a different vibe for this team. They're not going to sneak up on anyone. They're going to be a team that gets circled in ink on your schedule, and you're going to bring it against the Chargers, and we know that's a real dynamic. They're going to be one of those teams that other teams are more dialed in when they prepare to play them, and it's just going to be harder for them to get back to 12-4. And I think if you lose a few games early, the guys who were there last year, they start getting a little frustrated. Oh, this year's not going to be as easy as last year. And you think of how you lost so convincingly to the Patriots in the playoffs. That kind of I think that getting blown out in the playoffs, that can have more of a detrimental effect when you reset to 0-0 than having a close loss like the Saints have had the last 2 years. Because it's like, what the hell? We busted our butts for all those weeks, and then we go to Gillette Stadium and get destroyed.
Dominated,
we can't compete with the best teams in the conference.
They scare me too. I mean, hey, no Melvin Gordon. You could say all you want, right? Melvin Gordon's still a special player. I mean, maybe he's asking for too much money right now. I'm not going to disagree with that. But Melvin Gordon's a home run hitter, so that scares me that he's not on the roster. Tyrell Williams gone. Receiving core a little less than was. Russell Okung got injuries. Derwin James not there. Out of the fact they don't really have a home field advantage, and you talked about it. They won so many close games last year. I do think the AFC West will be better this year. I left them out too. And then you're not buying Jacoby Brissett. Like,
I want to see.
You got to see it to believe it.
I want to see.
That's the way I am too. I just couldn't put it down on paper. I'm rooting for him. I like the Colts. A lot of things there, but I just couldn't do it when it came time to flush it all out. All right, so wait. So let's go. Wild card.
Yeah, it definitely gets more interesting as we work our way up the playoff tree.
Let's work it out. Go ahead.
Wild card, we both have the Jaguars advancing, just over different teams. I've got the Jaguars beating the Jets. You've got the Jaguars beating the Ravens. We both have Steelers over Browns. That's the last time the Browns were in the playoffs. They played the Steelers in Pittsburgh and lost. The divisional round is when it gets a little nutty because you've got the Jaguars beating the Patriots.
I do.
I've got the Jaguars beating the Chiefs. Either one would be an eye-opening, holy crap outcome.
Yes.
Why do we believe in the Jaguars?
Well, I believe in the Jaguars. One, their defense is phenomenal. It's off the charts. You could argue it's the most talented defense in all of football. O-line, some injuries and little issues there, but I think ultimately, with a guy like Doug Marrone as the offensive line head coach, I like the guys they got on their O-line, and I think when they're at full strength, they can be a dominant force. Leonard Fournette, and a big year for his career, and the biggest thing being Nick Foles. I mean, come on, Nick Foles, they have receivers that I don't think are household names, but I think by the end of the year, I know you're privy to them when we talk about D.D. Westbrook and some of the other guys they got there, where we're going to go, oh, wow, they got some good players catching the ball from Nick Foles. But, yeah, I'm high on the Jaguars, certainly, and I think the Jaguars are the type of team, a little like the Ravens, who we saw to give the Patriots problems up in New England. The Jaguars are built that way, too. We're physical. We know how we're going to play the game. We're not going to mess up. And they had them down 20-10 2 years ago.
They should have been up 17 points.
Right. I'm playing the percentages this year. Obviously, I picked the Patriots as being the number 1 seed. That this is the first time in a decade they don't go to the AFC Championship game. I don't necessarily feel comfortable about that. I'm just kind of going with a gut feeling on that one.
Here's the thing. It all comes down to where the Jaguars finish. I've got them at 3.
Yeah.
You've got them at 4.
Right.
So at 3, they beat the Chiefs. At 4, they beat the Patriots in the divisional round if they can pull it off. And, from my logic is, and Big Cat and I were talking about this on Friday, the Chiefs are going to be so determined to get back to that game against the Patriots and finally get past the Patriots. It's going to be like the Steelers a couple years ago. You stub your toe
lose
in the divisional round,
right.
just like the Steelers did against the Jaguars.
Sure.
Before you can get back there, you've got to punch your ticket, and I think the Chiefs are going to be very vulnerable. And wouldn't it be a great story, Nick Foles, going back to one of the guy who drafted him, Andy Reid, and it was one of the teams he played for that it didn't work out, and we thought maybe he had a chance there when he landed in Kansas City. And there's just a lot of storylines that, and I try not to be influenced by potential storylines when I make these picks, but I do believe in the Jaguars. Now, neither of us believe in them enough to get to the Super Bowl.
Right.
We both have them advancing to the AFC Championship game. I've got them losing to the Patriots. You've got them losing to the Chiefs.
I do. I just ultimately, I think the Jaguars probably need another player or two. They're going to be in Kansas City. I just can't imagine them winning that game in that type of atmosphere. And I just think the Chiefs' offense, first off, is going to be off the charts good, and their defense should be improved. I mean, I like, Steve Spagnuolo. I think that's an upgrade at the defensive coordinator position, and I like some of the additions they made as far as players on their roster this offseason, too. So, yeah, I got the Chiefs going to the Super Bowl. We'll release the NFC after this. I kind of got a good storyline as far as the Super Bowl, how it all played out. I didn't intend to do that. But I'm looking forward to that. But it's amazing that Chiefs-Jaguars is a Week 1 matchup that we're going to be talking about here on Friday.
Right.
It's going to be in Jacksonville. Jaguars are dealing with the whole hurricane issue in Florida right now. So I do think that changes the dynamic of the game a little bit. But I just think they're two teams ultra talented on, especially the Jaguars on the defensive side of the ball, and the Chiefs offense, of course, is like the Jaguars on the offensive side of the ball, very special.
One last question for you. I've got 2 teams coming out of the AFC North. You've got 3.
Yeah.
Browns, Steelers, Ravens.
Yeah.
They play all the teams of the AFC West. Do they play all the teams of the AFC West? They just play one of the teams. They play all the teams of the NFC West.
Yes.
And they play all the teams of the AFC East, meaning they all have to play the Patriots.
Right.
I'm concerned that there won't be 3 teams in that division that are good enough to box out the Colts, the Chargers, the Bills, or the Jets. How much of that did you factor into having enough faith in those 3 teams to win enough games against that schedule to qualify?
Yeah, that's where it got scary, and that's where I kind of went to my logic, because I really did. I sat down Sunday morning and I looked at all schedules and kind of just tried to play it out in my brain a little bit. And where I got down into it is I just think with the AFC North specifically, you're talking about with the 3 teams, them playing the NFC West. I mean, some of these will reveal itself in the NFC as far as what I think has going on there. But I think them, the Browns and the Ravens, will win tiebreakers with teams like the Jets, the Bills, the Colts, who, again, the Colts are in a tough division as well, and their schedule is not necessarily easy either. But, yeah, I ultimately just looked at it that way. But like I said, I think that 5, 6, 7, 8 spot all could have the same record this year. The AFC is deep. It's as deep as I can ever remember it as far as good quarterback plays and pretty damn good rosters. It was tough to kind of flush this out.
We'll do our NFC playoff picks later in the show, but one thing that I experienced after Saturday, and as nutty as Saturday was with all those moves, I thought, all right, I'm glad I haven't put my playoff picks out there.
No,
I'm going to
you
go back
can't.
to the
Yeah,
lab, right?
right.
But I went back. I didn't change a single thing.
Wow.
I didn't change one thing.
Okay, good for
Yeah,
you.
so-
Right. Yeah, because I don't know. Like, I'm just glad I didn't have to deal with the Clowney thing beforehand. That might have made me rethink some certain issues there either way. But I waited till Sunday to wait till some action get flushed out so I had a better picture of what the teams were.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.